Hi, I'm Sonja, I'm 18 years old and I just came from... Hi, I'm Sonja, I'm 18 years old and I just came back from traveling around the world. And because there were so many people who were asking me the same questions, I mean I love to answer questions and people seem to be interested in what I did in the past few months. But because there was always the same questions, I thought about making a video. And because there were so many people also asking on Instagram or who saw my profile or don't speak German, that I decided to make this video in English. So that's why you're getting a video of me answering random questions in English. Okay, so what I did on my travels is I started in Europe. So I was in Europe for the whole summer. I did Interrail, I went to Greece for almost a month, and then I went to France for a month, and in France I did like pairing thing, which I did with a website called Workaway. So at Workaway they have tons of different jobs that you can apply to do, and you don't get paid for them, but you get accommodation and food. So you basically live with a family, or you can live anywhere. I just chose to live with a family. I lived with a family in the south of France near Aix-en-Provence, and I was there and I helped with everything I could. They had a son that I looked after, then the woman had a bed and breakfast that I sometimes clean, and I went to Marseille, Aix-en-Provence obviously, Avignon, Paris. Yeah, so that's what I did in France for a month. And then I went to Bali for 7 weeks and I started with 4 weeks of volunteering. And I volunteered there with a company called IVHQ. A lot of people asked me if I had to pay. Yes, I did have to pay in Bali. I didn't have to pay in France, but I had to pay in Bali because I lived in a volunteer house and they provided food for me and everything. So I had to pay for that, but it was fairly cheap. Like I looked into a lot of organizations and IVHQ was one that was one of the cheapest ones and also trustworthy, so I went with them and I'm super happy I went with them. Like they gave me so much information and stuff beforehand, so I knew everything before I went there. So I'm really happy I went with IVHQ. What did I do in Bali and for how long? I did 1 week of introduction week. In Bali you always have one whole week of introduction, so like everyone who starts the program gets to do like fun activities with IVHQ. We went to like a Balinese dancing show and tons of different stuff. We had a cooking class, a language class, so that was really fun. And then for 1 week I did teaching. I did do tutoring before, but not any teaching in like real classes. And the kids couldn't really speak English because I had the younger ones, so that was really hard. But it was like, I taught them the numbers, and at the end of the week they could count from 0 to 100, and at the beginning of the week they couldn't even count to 10. So that was cool to see just like how much of a difference 1 week can make. And then I did a renovation project for 2 more weeks, and we basically cleaned schools, cleaned a school, scratched like things from the walls, repainted walls, tables, chairs, everything. We did that, and that was really fun actually, because I got to work with all of my friends because we were on the same project together. And then after volunteering in Bali for 4 weeks, I traveled around Bali for 3 more weeks just to see the entire island. And I also went to the Gillies and I went to Nusa Penida, and yeah, just did the classic backpacking thing, I guess. And in South Africa I did sports teaching for 4 weeks. It was called sports teaching, but I didn't only do sports. Like I was at a school all morning and I helped wherever I could. Like sometimes I would read with the kids or teach them the alphabet or like do tutoring or like prepare easy lessons, and did the sports teaching. So like I would go outside with the sports teacher and then just help him and then tell the kids what to do and like show them how it's done or like play easy games with them. And I was there, like I said, all morning, and during the day they had a half-an-hour break twice. It was called interval, and you would go out and like play with the kids, and it was the best time of the day, but also the most exhausting by far. Because like the kids were so full of energy, they were awesome, like they were so loving. But if you have like 5 African kids hanging somewhere on your body, like in front of you, on your back, like on either side, it's awesome, they're so cute, but it's just so exhausting and you have to run around like the entire school area for half an hour. But it's awesome, and like all they want to do is like hug you and spend time with you and be with you. So I really liked my volunteer experience in South Africa. Like, the kids and I bonded so quickly, and I really do miss them a lot. After I left Bali, I backpacked around Malaysia for 3 more weeks. Then I saw my parents and did Vietnam with them for 2 weeks, and did the north of Thailand, Laos, Nepal, and then the south of Thailand. Yeah. Before I went to South Africa. But that's what I did backpacking wise. And people always ask me about what my favorite country was while backpacking. And that is the hardest question ever, because I went to so many different places and they were all so awesome. But my trip formed around the idea of me wanting to go to Thailand and Bali ever since I was a kid. So I had huge expectations of Thailand and Bali, and because I was in Bali for 7 weeks, like, it's easy to get tired of a place after 7 weeks, but I didn't get tired of Bali. Like, there were still so many things to see, and I could have easily spent another month there just exploring and seeing new stuff. So I'd say Bali and Thailand. So like, the 2 countries that I planned this whole trip for were actually the countries that impressed me the most, like that I would go back any second. If I think about it, I think I would go back to any country I've went to now. But Thailand was definitely, like, everyone goes to Thailand, everyone loves Thailand, like, what can be so special about this place? But then I went to the north, and I loved Pai. Pai was actually one of my favorite places of the whole trip. And then 4 weeks later, I went to the south of Thailand. And it was after 4 months in Asia, and I was like, okay, like, I've seen waterfalls, I've been to cool parties, like, there's nothing more that could surprise me. But I loved the south of Thailand. It was so awesome. But the most interesting country, I'd say, is Vietnam. Because, like, Vietnam's so diverse and there's so much history going on there. I learned so many new things while I was in Vietnam that I really thought that country was the most interesting one. A lot of people have asked me, how did I find friends? Which is a weird question to answer, but it's actually so easy to find friends while you're backpacking. Honestly, you go into your hostel, you get into your room, and most of the time there's 1 or 2 people in there already. So you're like, hey, where are you from? What are you doing here? Like, what's your trip? Like, what are your plans? Blah, blah, blah. And then you start a conversation. And then most of the time, they invite you to go somewhere. I'm gonna walk around town. Do you want to join me? Or if I have an idea of a thing to do, like, I want to go to that beach. Do you want to come with me? Sometimes when I'm like, I'm somewhere and I'm like, okay, let's find a friend. And I see 2 people next to me. And then I'm like, oh, you speak German as well. Like, we start a conversation. Okay, and then I got the question of how much planning is involved. Not that much. I mean, you can plan everything, but I didn't really plan that much. I planned my stay in Bali, and like, while I was volunteering, I got an idea of what you could do around Bali, but I didn't really plan anything, so everything was spontaneous. And like, I never booked hostels more than 2 days before going there. And because I did the whole thing as a solo backpacking thing, a lot of people asked me if I ever felt lonely. And before going, I wasn't that scared of feeling lonely, but because every single person who I told about the trip asked me if I was scared of being lonely, I kind of did become scared. Because like, if everyone's concerned about me feeling lonely, I mean, they might have a point. I don't know. I got a bit scared. But I was there and I didn't feel lonely at all. I've never felt less lonely in my entire life. Like, I was always surrounded by people. I was never actually alone. Like, if I wanted to be alone, I really had to make the effort to be alone. And I didn't feel lonely. I had one day where it was like my roughest day, I'd say. I was in Nusa Penida and I came there. It was dark, it was rainy. Nusa Penida is still very basic. And I came there, I couldn't drive a scooter. Like, I couldn't walk around because there's no way you can walk anywhere because the island's so big. And the hostel was kind of weird. I don't know. It was like one of the weirdest hostels I've been to on this trip. And then there was nothing much more for me to do. And suddenly I had this realization of, yeah, now I did volunteering for 4 weeks. It was awesome. But now I have this big trip ahead of me. And I don't know if I really wanted to do this. It was like in my first week of solo backpacking, that experience. And I didn't know if I really wanted to do it. And I was like, okay, well, I got myself into something I didn't know anything before doing. I'm screwed. What if I don't like it? And then I had like one day of like feeling very, very lonely, insecure, not sure about this whole thing. But then like everything turned out great, and like I've never felt that way ever since. What did I bring? So I brought my big backpack that I packed with stuff and lost half of the stuff I brought from home and then bought new stuff. But let's say I had like 10 t-shirts in the end, 2 dresses, because dresses are awesome. You don't have to wash t-shirts and your trousers, like 2 things. You just have to wash 1 dress. That's awesome. So I had a few dresses, skirts, and like let's say 10 t-shirts, but you don't even need 10 t-shirts. So that's what I brought, but most of the time I just stuck my hand in the backpack and then grabbed whatever came out and then just wore that. Everyone always wants to know how much I paid for everything. And like I said, I had to pay for my volunteering thing, but they have different prices for different countries. So I had to pay something else for Bali than for South Africa, but it was okay, like the prices were okay. And for a typical day backpacking in Southeast Asia, I spend about 30 euros every day, so that was my budget. You can easily spend less. I spent like 30 euros and sometimes got massages, like did activities, stayed in hostels that were like the cheapest and not like the most high-end, so like mediocre hostels. Yeah, so you can definitely do it for 25 euros. I did it for 30 euros, but I was fine. Was it safe? I felt very, very safe in all of Southeast Asia. Like traveling in Southeast Asia, I felt way more safe than traveling in Europe. But I didn't really feel safe in South Africa. Especially Muisburg, where I lived in, is known for like a very high crime rate. And when I got there, everyone warned me about like not to go out alone, not to even think about going out after dark, always Ubering somewhere. And yeah, it made me feel kind of unsafe because like, yeah, they had reason to tell us not to go out alone. It really isn't the safest place on this world. The easiest country to travel in, I'd say, is Malaysia. It's fairly developed and the buses and everything is like very high standard compared to every other Southeast Asian country I've been to. And because it's such a melting pot of cultures, like there are so many people from different countries living in Malaysia and speaking different languages, that most of the things are in English. So I hope I answered all of your questions, or at least the majority of it, and you could kind of get a feeling of what it was like for me in the past few months. And yeah, thank you for watching that video. Bye!